Hi, this is Kurt Allen from Safety 3553, Fall 2025, and this is a presentation of my construction project. So in my case study, we had an injury where a worker was engulfed while installing a 24-inch drain running next to a roadway. I've chosen a little bit different scenario here, but it shares a lot of the same elements as that incident, which led to a fatality and a number of OSHA fines. So in this situation, what we have here is we have one construction company has put in this trench to install a 24-inch pipeline here, and then at a certain moment we brought in a second subcontractor to do an 8-inch tie-in and take off going to the east from where this north-south pipe runs. So this company that did the first one has filled all this in. You can see they've dropped the hay behind here and they've moved on. This company now is working on installing the take-in and tie-off, and so they've got their material staged here and they're working. So the very first problem is the two trenches themselves. Now this trench is the exact same as the one that collapsed in the case study that I did, and you can see here that it is a straight walled trench that is 8 feet deep, and there is no trenching or sloping or shoring. This one is sloped appropriately at a 1-to-1 ratio. It is at the same 8-foot depth, but of course this opening now on top is about 16 feet in order to provide the requisite sloping 1-to-1 to the bottom of the trench. The next problem that we have here is we have a bunch of unmarked utilities. That's the other hazard that you'll run into with excavation. So you have a gas line entering here at about 10 foot, you have a gas line entering here at about 4 foot, you have a fiber optic line entering here at about 2 feet, and they are marked here and here. You can see the orange markings on the ground, and they are marked very well running across this trench. This one of course is not marked, and that is a violation. So this is a compliance and this is a violation. And what could have happened here is that when we made the one call, we knew we were going north-south, so we marked these, and we didn't mark this because we weren't crossing it. But of course, when we decided to go east, now we do need to mark it. Another problem that we had here is if these employees are searching for the gas line on this end, this guy has a sharp-edged pick, and this is an excavator. Neither of these is soft digging, which is what is required by standard. Soft digging would be hydro excavating or a blunt-edged shovel by hand or something like that. So this is also a violation over here if that is what they are doing. You see on the exposed fiber optic cable, we do have cribbing to support it. This is a compliance. If we were to get this exposed, we would have to support this one as well. We do see that this employee is underneath an overhead load. There is a note in the standard about not being under a suspended load or an overhead load because of the damage for falling objects onto an employee. And this is exactly the situation that it is meant to cover in the excavation standard, so this is a violation. We see that if there was standing water in here, it would be a violation, but we have a sump pump and it's pumped the water out, so this is actually in compliance. The workings would have needed to have been inspected if they held standing water. I'll talk about that in a second. We do see on these two spoil piles, this one is located 4 feet away from the edge of the trench, so this one is in compliance. This spoil pile is right next to the edge of the trench, so this is in violation. This material sticking over the edge is also in violation. Of course, this increases the chance that this is going to slough and engulf the employees inside. We do know that these employees are not within 25 feet of a means of egress. This is another thing that was cited in my case study. There needs to be a ladder or stairs or some other means of engineered egress from the workings in order for these employees to be able to exit quickly in the case of problem, and they don't have one within 25 feet, so this is a violation in here. We do know that if there was an atmosphere potential to be toxic or explosive or something like that, we would have to have atmospheric monitoring. We have no reason to believe that is the case here, so this is in compliance. When this poison gas pipeline gets exposed, that's what this sign says is danger poison gas, then this will be required to have poison gas monitoring inside the hole because you will have an exposed source. The one last thing I do want to say is I'm wearing a nice reflective vest. If this is a public roadway, then these employees should be wearing reflective vests because they are working around the roadway. If it is not a public roadway, if this is a gravel road, say to bring the excavator in and out and that sort of thing, then they would be in compliance. And this barricading, there's nothing specific in the excavation standard about barricading, but this barricading is not in compliance with the barricading standard. And so if an OSHA inspector was to arrive, you would expect to get citations on barricading as well as all of the other excavation problems that we see here. Thank you.